Mic'd up.
No music. I can handle that. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming to tonight's version of Yankees Coast to Coast with my buddy Michael Miller. And tonight,
hi, Mom.
We have the famous Dan the K-Dog Kramer.
Hello.
Here to help participate. He's one of our favorite friends of the show because instead of getting 3 viewers, we actually double all the way up to 6. So thank you, Kramer, for all that you do for us. We appreciate it.
Wait a second. Why do you think he's famous and not infamous? That's the question.
You know, depends on what post office you're visiting and what state.
Okay.
But,
before Kramer gets started, I would like to say thank you to everybody, which is over 1,500 views, a record for us, for our YouTube channel this week. I appreciate all of the people who went to our YouTube channel, which is, of course, my voice is cracking. I must be going through puberty. Yankees Coast to Coast, which is our YouTube channel. We had tons and tons of visitors.
We are on a roll.
And our subscribers are up more than 33% in the last 30 days, which is really nice.
Which is nice, but really sad when you think that they've got nothing else to do.
Yes. So
we love you. We love all of you, and you're welcome to participate. We have a great time.
I anticipate an uptick because I did post all of the links to the show on the Yankee Fantasy camp page, as well as on the Women's Fantasy camp page, because Kramer does need a date. So we'll go from there on that one. How are you doing, Daniel Q. Kramer?
Daniel Q.
Q is basically a new initial for me, but I'm doing fine. Thank you for asking.
That's it. Way to go, Kramer. Way to get into the flow of the show. So
that's why we hire you. That's why we pay you the big bucks.
I think we should double his pay. I do want to announce that at Yankee Fantasy Camp, Kramer will once again in January be our remote live reporter, which worked out really well last year, and we're hoping this year for a technology increase so that he can do interviews that we can just paste into the show. But Kramer, you were a big hit last year at Fantasy Camp from our fans and also at Fantasy Camp, so we're expecting even more this year.
Still the best. And you know what? The highest and most popular scene ever in this show's history was when Amy Sue went after you. That was we had to cut it, unfortunately, because we're not allowed to say obscenities on this. This is a family network, but we did have a lot of fun with the Amy Sue sighting. And that went out. That really went viral. We had almost 9 people comment. It was great.
All right. Well,
a lot of pressure on this fandom, but we'll take care of it.
1 second on the commentary. My brother Todd chimed in. Let's hear what he had to say about our 1,500 views.
You actually didn't have 1,500 people listening. I just kept it on a loop, and it kept running and running and running for a whole week. And it finally got to 1,500 times.
He's a putz. He really is.
Whatever it takes, I don't care. He's a very mean man. He's the mean Miller. Richard's the angry Miller. And I'm the happy Miller, which is kind of scary because I am far from happy.
Wow.
So anyhow, for today's show, we have a couple of topics, and we're going to go through them. We're going to give Kramer a chance to discuss the Fried signing because we did talk about that last week, and Am and I might have a quickie to add, but that's about it. Then we're going to hit quickly on our eventful week for the Yankees, which was the Williams trade. And I don't mean Serena or Venus or even Walt Noneck. And then, of course, we'll get into the Clay Bellinger deal. And then we'll after that, we'll talk about what's left for the Yankees to do and what they can do on 25 and how much they should look into 26 and be careful of 26 as they go forward.
Mm-hmm.
With that being the case, Kramer, what do you think of our Yankees signing Max Fried?
You have to like it. I mean, left-handed starting pitcher, well above average. You would prefer not to have an 8-year deal, but that's the cost of doing business, so that's fine. But he's also October tested and very cerebral pitcher. we can only hope, if I can make a comparison, if his Yankee career mirrors Andy Pettit's Yankee career, we'll be very happy.
Andy Pettit would be good. Jimmy Key for a little bit longer period of time. He's certainly going to be able to fill the shoes of Cortez, and then some. And I do agree, the 8 years is a lot. I do like this deal much better than the 9-year deal, the deal that the the Dodgers gave to Snell. But we'll go from there. You have anything you want to add there, Mr. Adam? We talked about it last week. We both loved the signing, and just like Kramer, the years was the only issue.
I like it. He has I heard about this a little bit on the press conference yesterday, but he's had some weird injuries and he has a lot of blister problems. So you got to think that he didn't benefit from being in that in the heat and humidity of Atlanta. Maybe he'll be a little bit better here, but the concern is that he does have soft some what are the terms, the soft tissue issues from time to time. So the question is, will he stay healthy? I'd like to make sure he stays healthy. He's had some elbow problems. There's always that concern with that kind of length, but he's young. And what I like about him is that he is built for Yankee Stadium. Like, he is going to be wonderful as a lefty. His average exit velocity is 95 percentile. I mean, it is pretty amazing. So he's a guy who gets a lot of ground balls. He's at 96 percentile for ground balls at this point. And that's just, that's what you need. And that's why building an important infield around him and an outfield that can catch the ball will be so helpful. Obviously, just because you want to make certain that you don't waste that skill. And so, yeah, I'm thrilled. I like him, and I like his makeup. Like what I saw last night. He seemed like a very, very good guy, and he seems genuinely happy to be here.
Yeah, and I think the Yanks gave him a no trade as well, so he's here for the long term. He also, he's not a pure power pitcher, and he's got 7 pitches in his arsenal. So hopefully he'll be able to work that out. And as he gets older and his velocity drops, perhaps those 6 other pitches that he has and the movement will work to his advantage.
Yeah, yeah.
Anything else? Anything else on Mr. Fried?
Nope.
All right. So next up was the Yankees deal for Devin Williams. Clearly, the Yankees had a need for a high leverage bullpen piece and a proven closer, if not one of the top 3 or 4 closers in baseball the last few years, despite his playoff struggles last year where he allegedly was tipping his pitches against the Mets. You're talking about one of the preeminent closers in all of baseball. He missed half a year last year with the bad back, but he came back very strong and had a great year. So what do you guys think about that trade? Mr. Adam, you can go first on that one.
I love him. There's not a lot of data on him from 24 because of the injuries, but 23 and 22 were off the charts. Rookie of the year, just crazy low ERA, like I think it was in 1.4, 1.5 or something in his first year. I mean, just the guy was crazy good. All the stats love him. He's what we were missing in that heater. We wanted somebody for the longest time who can just blow somebody away, and it hasn't been since Aroldis. And then we had the yin and the yang of him was that if he blew 9 guys away, he'd walk 12, and it was a horrifying experience. This guy does not have that problem. He's got elite K stuff. His heat is ridiculous. I think he averages 90. Something like 98 miles an hour. Very fast guy. Very fast pitcher with a lot of skill. So I'm feeling good. Actually, no, I'm wrong. I'm looking at his exit velocity. What he's known for is this ridiculous changeup. They really, what do they call it? They have a nickname for it.
He's the airbender. He's the airbender.
I mean, so that plays so well off of his heat. So while he does throw hard, his bread and butter is the delta between the heat and the slow stuff. I love it.
So what do you think, Kramer? What do you think of that deal?
Well, if you look at it strictly monetarily, you have to love it because Nestor, I believe, just signed his deal with Milwaukee. He got $8.3 million. So with that figure, and with what Williams is projected to get, you have to like the economics of it as far as the ability. He's got a well above average fastball, but that's actually not how he gets you out. His fastball sets up the airbender pitch. I think he's going to be very successful.
Yeah.
Gotta love it. Gotta
I,
love it.
I
What
think
about what we
Williams.
gave up? Do you think we gave up too much? I'm not worried about Nestor. That
No.
was
No.
a salary dump, which I think is great. It evens out the money very well. But what worries me is is what they gave up in the second baseman, and it might have been part
You
of the
think,
future.
well, as far as Durbin goes, I did a little bit of research. I mean, he's not young. He's 25 in February. Yes, he's high on base percentage and a 10% K rate, and he's got excellent speed. He also plays short, left, third base, second base, and he's a solid defender. But the Yankees have a bunch of guys like that. Now, granted, they don't have as much control over some of the other guys as they would have of Durbin, but you got to give up something to get something. And giving up Durbin and giving up Cortez for literally an elite closer, I think that was a smart move by the Yankees, even though it was, rental for rental, Cortez and Williams. Durbin was really the long-term piece, and he's going to Milwaukee where, he's not going to be in the Yankees' face. He's, not going to be bothersome to the Yankees in their face. And I know a lot of people don't like the fact that Soto's going to be in the Yankees' face, but he's not going to be on an AL East team. He's not going to be seen by the Yankees very often. But they gave up a player. But I would make this trade every single chance that it was an opportunity to make.
There's a concern about Durbin, though. As successful as he was last year, his exit velocity is in the lower percentile.
Very
So
low, but he's 5'6", 180 pounds. I mean, you
Right.
can't think that a guy
It's
that
always
size is going to hit the ball
Right.
hard.
It's always going to be in the lowest portion of it because he's shorter. He is just a few inches taller than DeMayo.
Whose exit velocity was always a problem,
Yeah.
also.
Yeah, but DeMayo does punch the ball to right field just like Durbin does. So you got to like the fact that if Durbin does what DeMayo does at fantasy camp, that we're going to be in good. They're going to be in good shape in Milwaukee.
There it is.
So
good move. I think we agree that was a really just a savvy pickup too, and we called it on the show, Mike.
Yeah, we did
last week.
We talked about him being a guy. We didn't think it would be Cortez, but I
thought it would be expensive. I never thought it would be much. Yeah, exactly.
We thought it would be much more than this, and it was not a salary dump by Milwaukee because it was a trade 1-for-1. Although knowing Milwaukee, come the trade deadline, they have a way of trading their guys. That are free agents to be, especially if they're not in it. And Cortez will be a decent piece for a team if he's, if his arm is okay, because he did have arm issues last year. So then the second deal.
Should we talk about anybody? I mean, do we want to play any of our guys here, or do we want to do that all at the end? We got a lot from Steve here.
Well, we've got the Bellinger conversation, and that's where most of the comments are. So why don't we do that while I respond to Tommy Matone chiming in, listening to the show.
Wow. Friend of the show. I haven't seen him for a while. What did he say?
He just wants to know how to chime in.
Oh.
I got to love Tommy Matone.
Tell him we really much rather hear from his wife and the dog.
His wife and the dog.
His wife.
I don't know his dog, but I know Judy, and Judy is definitely the better half.
Judy is the Kansas City Royals fan.
She is a Royals fan, but
and what a great photographer.
So we'll go from there. So the next deal up is the Bellinger deal, and quite honestly, DeMayo is listening too because he said he says thanks for the shout out. We are just so popular. It's got to be Kramer. It's got to be Kramer. It's got to be Kramer. Kramer brings out the fans from the woodworks, from under every nook and cranny in the house. So the Bellinger deal. I am taking the privilege of going first on this. This was, DeMayo says it's not Kramer. I will tell you, this is a great deal. Yankees gave up absolutely, positively nothing. This was a pure salary dump by the Cubs, and the Yankees took full advantage. Cody Poteet, it was a Cody for Cody deal, and quite frankly, the $5 million is nice. I mean, would we like to have had 10? Who cares? According to Brett Taylor, who's a Bleacher Nation Cubs writer, he said that the Cubs wanted to give nothing. The Yankees wanted $10 million. The Cubs wanted Will Warren. and that's how they were going to give up some money. The Yankees said no, and it ended up being Cody Petit, a guy who since 2000 has not pitched in more than 15 games in a season.
Yeah, I think he had 2
Now,
injuries last year, and he got hurt when they kind of needed him last
and
year.
he was great for his couple of starts last year, but Yankees gave up absolutely nothing. And Cody Petit is 31 years old in July. They gave up positively nothing. Did they take on a salary? Yes, but they had a desperate need in either the outfield or first base. I think he should be an outfielder.
All right.
Great trade.
Devil's advocate, do you mind?
The horns.
I love it too, but I'm just going to say what people are saying. There is a downside to this. $25 million. He has a great year. He's going to opt out, which probably would be in the Yankees' best interest. We're talking about $25 million for a 751 OPS. So he was good, but not great last year. He didn't hit in the same kind. Something was weird about Wrigley. I keep hearing this. Wrigley has weird years where everybody hits lots of home runs and years where nobody hits home runs. So they don't know if it's because is it the wind, that whatever's going on. But this was a year where nobody's
global warming.
Home runs.
I blame global warming.
No, it's not warm. If you're going to do it, call it what it is. It's climate change. Come on.
Oh, sorry.
Global warming. Climate,
yeah.
But no, the thing about it seemed that a lot of people had a harder time last year in Chicago hitting home runs. He might have been a victim of that. But what I love about this guy is that I heard somewhere that his fly ball and pull rate are so high, they're so perfect for Yankee Stadium, that they say he would have hit a lot more home runs. But not just that, his average fly ball is like 300 feet. So he's not hitting little pop-ups. He's not Gleyber Torres. He's hitting the ball like with great authority, great distance. And at Yankee Stadium, get up in the wind and some of those humid nights that he doesn't, that he hasn't been having that kind of success because it's 350 feet down the line in Chicago. So I really love this deal. But the downside is they gave up a lot of money for a guy that is, did have a little bit of a down season last year and some injury problems. Just saying.
But even his down season was better than the Yankees got from either. Correct. Actually, if you combine left field and first base, his down season was better than both of those. So it's from that standpoint, and you got to like the legacy. He gets on the team because his dad was there and won 2 World Series rings with the Yankees.
Everybody keeps calling him. Everyone keeps calling him Clay.
Well,
everyone's calling him Clay. Even yesterday, even Cashman called him Clay in the. It's kind of a problem.
So Kramer, what do you think of the Bellinger deal?
It's a trade not only that the Yanks had to make. Look at it from this perspective. Okay, in 2024, what was he, a 2.2 WAR player, something like that? 2.1,
2.8, wasn't he?
Whatever. I think it was low twos, but whatever it is, I think that's his floor. So 2023, he was 3.5 to 4 WAR. So let's split the baby and say he's a 3 WAR player. What's unfortunate is the Yanks had 1/3 of their lineup last year that was so far below average, it mitigated the greatness of Soto and Judge because you had 3 batters out of 9 that were negative WAR play that just didn't hit at all. And it's a shame because, Rizzo, the concussion for Rizzo, I just derailed him. It really is a shame. LeMahieu,
it ruined him. I think that there's something's wrong there.
Something's wrong.
He was not the same guy.
And it's not the same. So that's a shame. LeMahieu's had a great career. There's just not much left. And it's a shame also. Let's not say anything negative. He's a major league ball player. There's just nothing left. And Verdugo, I give him a lot of credit for his defensive chops in left field. But after May, he didn't hit at all. So you had 3 batters in the lineup that, I hate to use the term automatic outs. I'm not going to use that term, but they were soft outs for the opposing pitcher, and that mitigated the greatness of Soto and Judge. So what the Yanks need to look for with Bellinger is if they get, for example, a 3 WAR player, that would be fantastic. You can't expect his greatest season. I mean, his 3rd year in the major leagues, Belly I'm talking about, he was an 8.7 WAR player. It was unbelievable, his MVP year. So he's had a very weird career because the highs were extremely high and the lows were extremely low. But I think the Yanks will get a 2.5 to 3 WAR player, and even more importantly, if they extend his contract a few years, then you get belly locks.
Yeah, well, I mean, I just feel like it was something for nothing. So,
That's for the
You
Jewish
know,
people that know what belly lax is. But anyway,
I want to say that you know, we really have to give some credit here. You know, 10 days ago, this team was in an absolute tailspin. They were in the crapper. They lose a generational talent, and all the energy is out of it. It's all gone over to the Mets. Everybody's talking about how the Yankees are they're a lost franchise from the past. Their best days are behind them. It was really ugly here in New York, and in that 10 days, Cashman and company really jumped up and stepped up to fix things in a lot of ways. Now it's possible, and you kind of touched on that, Kramer. They're on the precipice of matching their loss, Soto's lost WAR, and it's possible, and I think it is probable, with a little bit more tweaking, this team is more diverse and probably functionally more dynamic than they were than the day they ended the World Series Game 5. They're probably more functionally dynamic now than they were before. And that, to me, is a way to win the World Series, being more diverse, not being as top heavy. Just saying.
I will agree with that they are more diverse. I don't think they're done yet. I mean, basically, they spent 45 million and change. They spent 45 million and change instead of 55 million and change, and they've got Williams, Bellinger, and Fried. And really, it's just Fried. I mean, it's just Fried and Bellinger. So that would be the way to go from that. It fits a need wherever it is. So
if I might, well, here's the to expand on what you both said. We can't as fans look at just one move as pushing the needle. When you look at all three moves that they've done so far, and they're not finished yet, that's what's going to be the key to 2025. You take these moves cumulatively, and of course, we'll discuss other players, and that's what's going to be the key. Where if the Yanks put the correct lineup order on the field most nights, I think the fans will be very pleasantly surprised because they won't have to rely on one or two players. We'll see.
listen,
Well,
hey,
they're better defensively just today than they were
By
before.
far.
Think about this. They lost Glaber, disaster, worst second baseman in probably in history of the game, or high on the list. Sorry, I'm emotional when it comes to him.
I know
Just
you
that
are.
bad.
Knobloch
But
and
you
might
know,
have something to say with that.
yeah, Knobloch. Well, he could catch the ball. He just couldn't throw it. This guy never had a problem with the throws. It was more about he couldn't catch the ball. But I actually believe he lost the World Series for the Yankees more than Judge. That play at second base killed him. But anyway, the losing Soto, just being an okay outfielder, but clearly not going to get better. Getting rid of Verdugo. I'm the only person I know didn't think Verdugo was a great left fielder. I thought the eye test was what I had, and I thought he always looked outmatched, always went after the terrible routes, made a lot of bad choices, and missed out on easy fly balls while he made the spectacular ones. I'm tired of that. I think they need Kramer's on the move. I think we
Sorry.
need to. I think the team needs to be focusing more on fundamentals, and they're better suited today than they were 2 months ago. Just saying.
So I will say this. We say the Yankees are more diverse and all of these things, but you got to remember with the lineup that they had last year, they made the first World Series that they've made since 2009. Right?
Yeah,
So you got
because of number 3 and number 4. That was it.
2 and 3, but
that was the number 2 and 3. That was the reason. Nothing
right.
else.
But
I don't think there was anything else on that lineup that was spectacular.
You still talk about a guy who had a 7.9 WAR, and the Yankees, even with all the changes, are not getting 7.9 WAR in. So here we go. We got a couple of comments. We're going to go first with Steve Carroll, who had a comment on the Bellinger trade. So we're going to go from there on Steve Carroll.
Miller, I'm sure you are smiling as you got your man. Bellinger is a great pickup, and he will have a great year, as it could be a walk year, and he will put up huge stats. We now just need a first baseman and a third baseman. I think Carlos Santana could be a good fit. If not him, Paul Goldschmidt. Seems the Yankees are going to take a back seat right now.
So
Cut off.
well, he's got more messages. We also got a message from Double D, and it's not just his bra size. That would be David DeMeo.
He will have an MVP-like season, especially because he's looking to opt out for more money.
So
who's he talking about?
Quickie. That was a
He's
quickie.
thinking Bellinger.
Yeah, he's talking about Bellinger. He thinks he's going to have an MVP season and then opt out, which like you said earlier, Adam, more power to him. Let him opt out if he has an MVP type season. Whatever that is, I don't know. But Kramer, the light over your head not make you look angelic.
Sorry.
Or how many times? Every show. Every time.
It is what it is.
So, but Dave's right. DeMeo's right. There's no question. It's a. I would love that. It would be a great problem to have. I'd like to see them forced to sign it. Right. It would be nice to feel the need to pick up the option and go. Well, actually, it's his option, right? So
it's his option. Absolutely his option.
If he accepts, if he decides to walk, it's because he had the season, and then the Yankees will have the option to extend him in some way, and I do that too.
I would, obviously that frees up money and we'll talk about this in a little bit, but frees up more money to be available to chase a man like Tucker, who I think is a little bit more, no pun intended, as you got it, Adam. Tucker, the man in his machine. So before we get on to the next set of comments, which is the rest of the 25 season and potentially 26, we do need to let everybody know there are other shows on the Mic'd Up app since we have this thousands of audience. You've got the Highlights from Lowlifes, which is the four guys drinking beer and talking about things, about sports, about current events, all sorts of fun.
Hold on 1 second, okay? Can we hold the airlines for 1 second?
So they're at the corner of current events and sports and their conversations of that. Additionally, you've got the Jim Darby Show, which is airing actually at the same time of us. He's an Easton sports executive and author of a book. He's worked closely with people like Pete Rose, Dusty Baker, Ricky Henderson, and John Elway, and Joe Montana. And he was also very involved at the University of Cal Berkeley Sports. And his Bears and the Bigs features a lot of interviews with former Cal players who played at the major leagues in various different sports. And then there's the Rovner Report for you New Yorkers. He's a employee of the New York Football Giants, which Adam hates when I say that. But he brings fresh viewpoints to the Mic'd Up app, and he is one of the few people in the world that will talk hockey. So I truly enjoy his show tremendously. So
I love it. What was it? Can you tell me, though, what's the name of what time and what day does the Highlights show go on?
The Highlights show is on Wednesday nights at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 Pacific. And they are a fun bunch of guys. Pretty well, because what's going on, guys? Oh, there it is. They're a fun bunch of guys that I play baseball with for the last 20 years, and Adam knows them very well. And if Kramer would ever get his lazy ass out of New York and play a tournament with us, then he would know these, and I won't say gentlemen because they're not, very well. So moving on, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen of all ages, what do the Yankees need to do next? I will definitely go back to our friend Steve Carroll before we start, because he does have something he wants to chime in and finish his thought.
And wait for the market to play out. We will need a third baseman. They may go with a combination of Peraza and Cabrera at second and keep Jazz at third, or vice versa. But it would be nice to see if they could pick up an inexpensive, experienced third baseman. I'm sure Kramer can chime in and come up with some good candidates. And we also can use Bellinger at first if we get a better outfielder.
As well, Steve Carroll chimes in with another need for the Yankees before we get into what we think the needs are.
I'm sure they will also need to find a few more pieces for the bullpen. With Matt Blake, they could find some washed-up guys, and he can teach them spin rate and get them going again. And hopefully, we can move Stroman's contract to bring back something better. So possibly a Nolan Arenado, 3 years, $24 million.
And Nolan
The
Arenado's
longest
got a
30 seconds I've ever heard. How did he
I
do
was just
that?
going to say that. So wait, before we go any further, we do have a retort from one of our comments earlier in the show. We must play it from our favorite Royals fan.
Hey, this is the wife. Don't you be talking smack about my Royals or my dog. Unless you're talking about K-Dog, then open mic, go for it.
There you go.
Love
There
it.
you
Thank
go.
you. Welcome.
That is the best comment we've ever received in our over 1 year doing the show. By far, the best comment. And we were not talking smack about the wife or the dog. We were actually happy about the wife and the dog. We were talking smack about your husband. So take it for what it's worth. I will say this, going back to the longest 30 seconds ever in the history of the show. The most important thing about the Bellinger trade that the Yankees need to get, besides Bellinger, is the lesson that the Cubs taught them. Figure out how to dump the entire contract. The fact that the Cubs dumped all but $2.5 million of the Bellinger deal is what the Yankees need to figure out, even if they're trading Stroman for a bag of used baseballs. Take less and less and less from the other team just to get his $18 million off the books. And that's the lesson they need to take from that Bellinger trade. What do you guys think of that lesson that the Yankees should learn?
Great.
Well, Stroman, unfortunately, I don't think you can compare the Bellinger contract and the Stroman one. Bellinger was a wanted commodity, and the Yanks need him. Stroman is a pitcher that is a back-end starter at this stage of his career, and a lot of teams are not going to pay it. I mean, plus, you have to control his innings in order not to have the problem the following year. So I don't see, while I agree with the premise of dumping a salary and not taking much back, the only avenue I see of trading Stroman, and Steve and I admit we've spoken about this. The only avenue is you take a look at a guy like Arenado. If the reports are true, I know you're shaking your head, but wait, if the reports are true, that St. Louis will pay up to $20 million. The Rocket, then that's in addition to the $10 million that the Rockies are paying. Then Arenado becomes a 3-year, $24 to $30 million player. At that price point, I might take a look at it.
The 20 million is 20 million is 10 million from St. Louis and 10 million from Colorado. It's not.
Then I wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
If it's 20 plus 10, and
No.
it turns Arenado into a 3-year 20, let's call it 25 to 28 with 30, let's call it 30 million even. If it turns into a 3-year $30 million deal, I would consider it, because Arenado still has something to offer. He wouldn't be asked to bat higher than sixth. He's a very good defensive third baseman, and he allows the Yankees to put Chisholm at second where he's better suited. So that's another thing. And if I can add something to that, I know another player we've spoken about. When we made the point before that the cumulative moves or how we have to judge the Yankees, I like the idea. I think the best fit is a player like Carlos Santana, and this is why. Switch hitting is great. Although he won a Gold Glove this year, I'm not going to call him a career Gold Glover, but he's an above-average first baseman. He's a very smart player. He's a high IQ player. Not a great hitter for average, but he walks a lot. But most importantly, he's above average defensively. Okay, he's an older player, I get that, but he's always had a good batting eye. More importantly, that he's a fit, because we're making we're fixing a jigsaw puzzle, and he's a fit. He's just another cog in the cumulative reshaping of the team. With his skill set, he can bat either second ahead of Judge or either fourth right behind him. And I hope the Yanks resist temptation to bat Judge second. If the Yanks do this right, Judge should be hitting third, because that's also another way not to rely too much on one player.
All right.
And
So before we go forwards, I got to go backwards because Frankie the Yankees chimed in
all
a little
right,
bit.
Frank.
I'll let Frankie the Yankee chime in on the Bellinger trade because I think he has an interesting perspective, which sort of is my Bauer Cole perspective. But we'll go from there.
Hi guys, Frankie here. Just one quick question. How do you think the clubhouse is going to be with the fact that Stanton's ex-girlfriend is married to Bellinger? And of course I'm talking about Cody, not Clay.
Great question. I don't know. I'd be a little scared. He's a pretty big guy.
I actually think Stanton is such a nice guy that it's not going to be an issue. How's that for an answer? I think Cody has a reputation of being a nice guy. So does Clay, and so does Stanton. It's not like Bauer, who was a big douche and would do everything to screw up everything. So I think it'll
He'll
be
be
fine.
fine. No, but
So,
and the other
and
thing.
before,
Oh,
go
I'm
ahead,
sorry. Go
Craig.
ahead. No, I was
Go
going to
ahead.
say, and the other thing with what Steve said in his commentary, the Yanks do need a couple of bullpen pieces. I'd like to
Well,
see Tim.
let's before you go down that road, I want
Oh,
to talk about a couple of things before we
oh,
get
go
into.
ahead.
So, as we all know, I've been chiming this for a long time. Hal has his self-imposed $301 million salary cap so that the Yankees don't have to pay 110% of every dollar they spend over 241 because it's their third year over the threshold for the competitive balance tax. So that being the case, the Yankees are sitting, assuming all the arbitration numbers that Sports Track has in there is correct. The Yankees are sitting at about 269, which means they have about $31 million left to spend. So with $31 million left to spend, assuming they don't get rid of our friend Stroman, what do you think are the top 4 things the Yankees need to work on? Don't give me suggestions. Just say what they are and why that position is what they need to work on, 1 to 4. We'll start with Adam.
I really would love a second baseman, just a real quality second baseman who could run and lead off. To me, that's I'd like a high contact, low strikeout guy who can steal a base or two.
Well, what
That
else
to
do you?
me is the primary.
That's their number one priority.
And that's the number one priority right now.
And what do you
Personally,
think? What do you
I'd
think
love
is
to
out
see
on the
first
list?
base. I love first base too. I like that a lot, but I would, the field. I'm not loving the field for first baseman right now. I do like if I'm doing anything at first base, it's Santana, because I love the low price point. So that's it. So 2 things. I would say it's 2 things, 2 priorities. Second base leadoff guy who can get on base, doesn't strike out too much, steal a base or 20, and then and a guy like Santana, not Walker. They don't need 35-year-old
Good
outfielder.
thing I said don't give me suggestions when you list your 4 things. Go ahead,
Sorry.
Kramer. That was very Kramer of you, Adam. Go ahead, Kramer. What do you think of the 4 things they need? Why they need them, not who should fill them.
Okay.
I think they need a first baseman who can at least hit some, but is a defensive anchor for the rest of the infield. Alternatively, they need a third baseman to do that, one or the other, preferably both. And I think they need 2 bullpen pieces, 2 left-handed relievers.
So I'm with you on something, Kramer. I think they need a first baseman more than anything else because you can't go into the season with Rice and LeMahieu as your guys. That's by far. And I mean, if you're going to move Bellinger there, which I think is a huge mistake, then you need an outfielder because that would be the thing you need. I also think, surprised myself when I was going through the depth chart, I think the second thing they need is some outfield depth because right now they have Bellinger, Judge, Grisham, Cabrera,
Dominguez.
and Dominguez. Those are your guys. And if Dominguez and Pereira can't handle every day, Grisham can't be your everyday player. So they might need a veteran outfielder. But I also think that the bullpen, they have 2 high leverage arms that are definite. And then my last thing is unlike Adam, I think last on the list should be second base, third base, depending on where Jazz ends up. Wherever Jazz doesn't end up should be last. I think at this point, from a defensive perspective, they have what they need in Peraza and Cabrera to keep that infield defense that they want to have. Especially Peraza's a stud, and Cabrera showed that he was a really good infielder as well last year. But first base to me is the biggest, weakest link. So, Adam, I know you let's stick it with mine and Kramer's first option. Kramer, you've already spoken about Santana. Adam, you've spoken about Santana. I think Santana's the right fit too because he's short term. Because as you go through this, I think you can't go through 2025 with your hand in front of your face. You have to be able to look at the future. Because if you don't look at the future, you're not going to have long-term relevance. And quite frankly, while the Yankees were a playoff team since 2009 every year except for 2 or 3, they weren't playoff relevant. And the Yankees need to maintain that playoff relevance. And the way to do that is know that you could possibly lose a whole boatload of guys after the 25 season, including Bellinger potentially and Stroman potentially. But Williams is gone and needs to be replaced. Weaver is a free agent after the season, and he will need to be replaced. So you've got things that you need to replace. And I think getting those guys that will be short term, so that you have the flexibility to fill in your back end when guys walk away, is going to be important. If they don't sign short term, they're just sticking themselves with another Stanton contract or another A-Rod contract. And those were bad contracts that the Yankees paid the price for, and to a certain extent are still paying it for Stanton. And I think first base, Santana's the guy. I don't, after reading a little bit more about Goldschmidt, if he was to sign a one-year deal, I would be less offended by it, because he is an excellent fielder. And the things that I read about last year for him was his exit velocity was very high, and his batting average for balls in play was very low compared to what his exit velocity was. But I'd much rather have Santana.
It's flipped, actually. I think that all the, and I call them the old man metrics, the things that you see, you know, with the drop in skill set that you would see from some of these guys, he cratered last year. So I don't think Goldschmidt's the guy. Other than the defensive position, he's a veteran, and he's you know, he's got a winning attitude. Apparently, he's very good in the clubhouse. But you know, we don't need another LeMahieu. We don't need another guy who's fallen apart. You know, limb by limb. Let's just move on and not think about that. Can we talk about some options at this point?
Yeah, go ahead.
I mean, I think Santana is the best I like for the low cost and you know, just what he offers. He's an elite, you know, strikeout guy. Doesn't walks enough, doesn't strike out very much, makes great contact. I love him, good fielder, you know. So, and in short term, I also love the idea of Yandy. Yandy would be great, but I don't know if they've got, what do they have to trade for someone like Yandy? I mean, they have any pieces left. I mean, that's the problem.
Maybe Pereira.
Yeah.
Well, Pereira, I think, yeah, I mean, Pereira, but
Pereira is your guy, is your outfield depth. I mean,
yeah, he doesn't have any value. By the way, going back to Goldschmidt, he was in the 92nd percentile for hard hit rate and the 82nd percentile for average exit velocity last year. So from that standpoint, you know, that was it. And his K rate was in the 21st percentile, which is not good.
No. What about his walks?
His walk rate was in the
down
38th percentile in major
year over year. Look back.
Well, I can only have 24 in front of me with this stupid site that I grabbed. So it was just that. So, I mean, he wasn't awful, but yeah, I mean, he's this fallback only because he's a one-year deal guy. I mean, there's no way I want to touch Alonso under any circumstances, right? Don't want to touch him. I think he's going to be the last man. I think he's going to be the Boris failure this offseason. I think he's going to be the last man standing.
Right, so here are the problems. Here are the issues with him. Bat speed is down. Sweet spot, square up, chase rates up. I mean, a lot of these things are the bad signs. And his K rate is 21 percentile, as you said, and his walk rate is down to 7.2. After, let's just see how it looked in 23. This is how you see. You watch a trend. He walked 12 points. He was in the 89 percentile for walks 2 years ago. Now he's down to 21%. Something happened. That's what happens. When you start striking out more and walking less, what's happening? You can't catch up to the fastball anymore. Yep. And that's the sign to me.
That's why Santana's the better guy. I mean, there's no ifs, ands, or buts, but there's nothing. I mean, like you said, Diaz is out there, and I know you're about to say Lowe, right, Kramer?
He would be, Nathaniel Lowe would be an unbelievable option.
Is he available, or
that's the thing? I don't know. That requires.
I thought they were going to sign Glaber. They seem to Texas like Glaber. What happened there?
Nothing yet. Texas likes him. The Angels like him.
I would get my best guess. He's going to Seattle. That would be my best guess.
Mm-hmm. We'll see. Hey, listen to this one. Tommy Two-Tone is in the house.
Well, what's funny is
Right. Hey, what do you guys think about the Yankees trying to get the polar bear from the Mets since he's a free agent? Although he's a right-handed hitter, wouldn't he fit in well with the Yankees on the infield?
Nope. Well,
no, bad infield. We don't need another fat Asian guy who hits right-handed and all he does is hit home runs.
Right.
One of those.
If he's the last man standing and the Yankees could get him on a one-year deal, yes, I would say I would choose him. But he's going to take nothing less than $25 million. And, I'd rather have Walker if I was going to pay $25 million, unless, of course, it's 1 year.
Is he a Boris guy, too? He's a Boris guy.
But Alonso's a Boris guy, yes. So
actually, you know what? He'll probably sign in March. For 1 year.
Right.
He
so
could be that guy.
I think he's going to end up back at the Mets, but I don't like him. I mean, he's clearly not a long-term fit on the Yankees because they need the DH spot open because, Judge, he's got 2 more years in the outfield, and then he's either going to be after Stanton leaves, he's either your DH or by some miracle a first baseman. I don't see how he's going to play first base, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. First base is first base. So Nathaniel Lowe is supposedly available, but I don't know what the Yankees have to trade anymore. They can't really afford, they're not going to give up Heel. They're not going to give up. They could give up Warren in a deal, but they don't really have very much. They have some depth pieces in the bullpen, but they don't really have anything that's going to stand out in a trade for Nathaniel Lowe.
The Rangers would probably want a controllable major league established starter. You know what I'm talking about. They'd probably want Schmidt.
Right, and you can't do that if you're the Yankees. It's not worth it.
Does anybody know the status of the guy in San Diego, the shortstop there? Is he a free agent? Kim?
Which one? Kim's a free agent.
That might be an interesting move. Have you looked at him?
Yeah, he's a very good player. He had an off year last year. He's not going to be back at the start of the season.
What's wrong with him?
Arm injury.
Oh. Well, maybe he could play second base.
Well, yeah, but when he comes back, he can play anywhere. He's a stud fielder, Gold Glove caliber second, short, or third baseman, and he has a little bit of pop. And if the Yankees are going to sign somebody short term and they're going to give up on Peraza and Cabrera, then yeah, that's a nice guy that would fit in because he might take a 1-year bridge deal as well. Again, I don't want to spend a lot of years on any of these guys that are going to be coming in because I think you need to look forward to years in the future.
He's 29. This kid sounds, he's young, and his peripherals are off the track. He doesn't strike out and he walks like insane. He's 96th percentile on walks.
No,
this
he's
guy
an
seems
excellent.
Like what I was talking about earlier.
He's an excellent player. He's hurt.
Well,
but
yeah, how bad?
Nobody knows. I mean, nobody knows whether or not he's going to make $17 million or $5 million. So it depends on what's going on out there.
You actually reminded me of another player. There's a Korean player with a similar name. I think it's Hee-Sun Kim, and he's a left-handed hitter, but he's potentially a leadoff batter. Has very little power. It's going to cost a posting fee. I don't think that's part of the concern.
Oh, so he's in Korea. He's in Korea now. So he's coming over.
No, he's available. He's available this year. He's a left-handed hitter, second baseman, but can also play third if you need him there. Leadoff type, speedy guy, walks a lot, good on base, very little power. So there is question on whether his hit tool will translate, but he's the type of player that could lead off. So you reminded me of him when you mentioned the Padres. Kim, right. This another player, but I don't know what he's going to cost.
Okay. So as far as second base, third base, we've talked about second base, third base options. Are there any other second base, third base, first base options you guys want to bring up that are out there in the world?
Well, the one that I do like, and it's going to require a trade, we've mentioned him before, is a perfect fit, is St. Louis's Donovan. That's a perfect fit.
But I don't know. They've been talking about him for 5 years. He doesn't leave. They love him there. Where is he ever going to go? He always seems like the Yanks want him. The Yanks like him. I don't think you're wrong there. I think they do like him. He's never available.
That's the thing. I don't know. I think anyone in St. Louis would be available if the return is attractive enough to him. But
this is it. Who's left? Guy Lombardo? Do they have anybody else? Who is available right now?
Fred Sanford.
Not going to be
Fred and Levant Sanford are in St. Louis and available.
Yeah. I don't think they really have anything. They gotta hope for, and this is another conversation for another time. But they really have to hope for some love in their farm system this year. They had a terrible year last year. They need to really build up. They need some good seasons. Yeah, because their value. I'm scared to see how low ranked they're going to be this year if they don't really start seeing.
Last I heard, I thought they were ranked 30th. I thought they were ranked 30th. Yeah.
Is it that bad?
Yeah, it's pretty bad. I mean, the only guy they have in the top 100 is what's his face? Hampton, I think, is the only guy. They Pereira doesn't qualify anymore. He was hurt, so there's nobody really that's left.
Dominguez graduated. Wells graduated. All these guys are all up.
The top 100. Jones dropped out. Jones is the guy that they were counting on. He needs to have a big season, and if he has a big season, then next year, there's hope for them. Looking at the other piece that I had on my list, the third is the bullpen. So if you look at the Yankees bullpen right now, right, they've got four guys who have no options. Well, five if you count Loaisiga, which we don't even know what Loaisiga is making. They haven't announced what his contract is yet. So surprisingly, and this pisses me off more than no end, Brubaker has no options, and they just signed him to $1.8 million. That is the dumbest thing. Why are you signing this guy for $1.8 million? And he has no options. He's got to be on the team. Loaisiga has to be on the team. And then, of course, you have Leiter Jr. has no options. Weaver has no options. And Williams have no options. So that's five bullpen pieces right there that you're going to have, right? Hamilton has one option. Cousins has an option. Beater has two options. Efros has two options. So that's flexibility in the bullpen to send some guys down. Efros showed himself to be capable of being a high leverage guy, but he got hurt. Hamilton got hurt. He's up and down. And you know me, these guys are fungible to me. They go up and down and left and right all the time. Cousins also has the potential to be Jeff Nelson with that sweeper that he has. But, who knows? And then Beater, if the guy he's hurt more than Poteet was. So who knows? I mean, they don't have.
I'm not as worried as you are, though, buddy. I'm not worried about it. And because I think that they are really skilled.
They find guys. But I'm worried about it because last year they didn't have the guys. They just didn't.
But that's where the Williams deal is so important. They are now top heavy, and they've got beautiful 7th and 8th option in Weaver, and then they have Williams. I mean, I think that you've got the 7th inning, the 8th inning, and the 9th inning nailed right now. The concern is they go into a game tied. They go into the 9th inning tied, and they have to, or he blows a save. It's going to happen. Who do they have after that? And I think they really do count on Loaisiga this year, actually having a bounce, which is why they signed him. They must feel good about his health. Like he deserved something good has to happen to Jonathan Lozano.
Yeah, but the problem,
this could be the year.
They have five guys. They have 5-inning starters though. Rodon's a 5-inning starter at 6 at best. Schmidt's a 5 or 6 inning starter. Heel's a 5 or 6 inning starter because these guys throw 100 pitches in 5 innings. And it's not just the 6th, the 7th, the 6th and the 7th. And if Weaver pitches the 7th and the 8th today, he can't pitch tomorrow. If Williams pitches the 9th today and tomorrow, he can't pitch the next day. So you need more. You need 4 high leverage guys. So if they can find a high leverage guy from among Efros, Hamilton, Loaisiga, Cousins, Beater, and Brubaker, that's fine. But they need another high leverage guy. And I think with $31 million,
I think they're pretty smart.
With $31 million available, I think they should go out there and hunt for an AJ Minter or a David Robertson. I don't think they need to get Scott at $15 million a year anymore, but they could spend $8 to $10 or $11 million and get another high leverage reliever and still have $20 million left, which is more than enough for the guy that we all think should be playing first base for them, Santana.
Yeah.
And that's
is it really that much money? I keep hearing different numbers. Is it because of the arbitration guys that we haven't? Have you not factored in the arbitration guys?
The arbitration guys make it $269.
Wow,
the
so they got a lot more. I keep hearing it's as little as 8 all the way up to 31. Why is there such a delta?
It's 31. According to Sport Track, it's 31 using the estimate that Williams is going to make 8.4. Quite honestly, I could see Williams getting much more than 8.4. It just, other than that, nobody else that's arbitration eligible for the Yankees is going to make any significant money. But then you look at the 25-26 season, and Volpe is eligible for arbitration. Chisholm's eligible for arbitration. Leiter Jr., Hamilton, Efros, and Cabrera also all eligible for arbitration next year. So, and Trevino's eligible for arbitration this year. They got rid of the Grisham deal by signing him for $5 million. So there's a lot of guys that are eligible next year that they're going to have to worry about. But, even if Williams gets $10 million, it's only a $1.6 million difference. But I think they have the money to go after another high leverage bullpen arm and the depth to get some minor league prospects for some of their depth major league relievers. I'm not saying that they're going to go out and get a top 50 prospect for any of their relief bullpen guys, but you can trade if Cousins has another decent year, or Hamilton or Efros shows that they can pitch, or even Loizaga if they need to. Those guys can get you a mid-level, high upside prospect like a Vivas they got from the Dodgers. That's another guy that they have that's a potential infield player. He's got 3 options left as well. So, there's a lot of things that they need to do. But, it's not a lot of money when you think about it. I think Santana's going to take $15 million. I don't think he's going to get – I think he's going to be maybe 2-25 or 1-15 type, including buyouts and things
with
like
an
that.
option. With a second-year
Yeah,
option, you think I think they'll give him. See, it would probably be smart to do it a 1 with a 1, but then they'll probably end up doing. He'll probably. That's why it's held up. It's not moving because I bet that he's asking for 2 years, and people are offering him 1 with an option, and he doesn't want, and they don't want to go. The Yankees go to 2 and 1, and a 3rd-year option. They probably get him without a problem. That's what I would say they need to do. And will they? I don't know. We only know that
Kramer?
Cashman listens to the first half of the show. What's up, Kramer?
So, Kramer, you
see your waddle.
got anything to add?
Your waddle is.
Yeah, I'm just waiting. I don't think Santana's going to get 15. I mean, he was 5.25 last year. I think it's more in the 10 range. But all right, whatever it is, it is. As far as the bullpen, AJ Minter was on my list. That's the priority. That's the guy that you want. And I'd like to see Tim Hill back. Have to at least 2 lefties. I like to see that.
Like Tim
They
Hill.
love Hill,
and I think
they love Hill, and he's not.
Yeah,
There's no money there. It's not going to cost him.
Yeah, it's $5 million or something like that. The other guy that's out there that is Kirby Yates, who may be a little bit more expensive because he was a stud closer. He had 34 saves, I think, last year. So there's a lot of bullpen options that are out there that are a little bit more expensive because that's the nature of what those relievers are getting. I mean, they were talking about Scott getting 12 to 13. Now they're talking Scott getting 15 or 16 a year. But the bullpens are frozen right now. That market's
Why haven't the
frozen.
Orioles picked him up? What's going on with the Orioles? Why aren't the Orioles spending any money? They're the richest team in the world. What's going on?
They don't want to spend money, and they don't want to trade their prospects. So that's what happens when you're dead in the water. My other favorite thing that's happened is everybody's talking about the Astros as if they're a middle market team. Isn't Houston the 4th largest city in the United States? After New York, Los Angeles, and Chicago? Isn't Houston the 4th biggest city? How are they a mid-market team? I don't understand. So, and there's one other team that's out there that's going to be taking on salaries left and right, even though they've never done it before, but they have no choice.
The Sacramento A's.
It's the West Sacramento A's, young man. They are at 50, including the trade for Springs and the signing of Severino. They're at $59 million in salaries, and they have to get to 105 to avoid massive problems with the union for all of Major League Baseball. So,
wonderful. So good. Thank God it happened. It's taken long enough. They've been pocketing it for years. All of that money that's been thrown their way. Those owners take it, put it into that beautiful ballpark in Oakland. And
hey, those troughs are fantastic.
Not one.
They need. I like the troughs. It makes the lines move faster. Of course, you're shoulder to shoulder with somebody, and you're close to a sword fight. You're close to a sword fight when you're shoulder to shoulder. So, is there anything, Kramer, you have anything you want to add before we wrap this up with our last 2 comments from my brother and Caro?
On that note,
I think we covered it. With the bullpen is a need, and I think Caro is right. And I like Andy Diaz too. Maybe there's something that will interest the Rays. And good thing about Diaz is came up a third baseman. You might have the flexibility to put him at third if you end up with Diaz and Santana. That would be ideal also.
I think the Yankees should have told them they can't play in Steinbrenner Field unless they gave them Diaz. Trade Steinbrenner Field for Diaz.
Would work too.
Hey, did you hear about this? I love that they're saying that the Yankees that Bellinger is going to have even better year than they thought because he's got 8 games he has to play at Steinbrenner Field. I love it. Same dimensions, you should have no problem. Then again, the wind there is a little different. That's going to be a wild place to watch a baseball game in August. I just can't.
I'm curious how many rainouts they're going to have because they don't have a dome, but that's a different story.
Oh, wow.
So it's Sacramento, it's going to be 110. I would, yeah. I mean, we'll see if they even sell out. How many fans does Steinbrenner Field hold?
It's like
was
10.
It 11,000 or 18,000? I forget.
I don't know.
No, it's about 10 to 11, somewhere in that area.
And the A's, what's funny is the A's average attendance last season is less than the capacity at their ballpark in Sacramento. So it's all very funny.
Yeah,
so we're going to get to these
last. Capacity is 11,026 as presently constituted.
David DeMeo just chimed in, being that he works there a lot of the year. He knows. He says it's 11,000. All right, so we have two more comments. One from my brother Toad related to the Bellinger Stanton situation that Frankie raised.
Bellinger has to worry about when he sees Stanton walking around the clubhouse naked and then have to say, oh my God, my wife was with that guy before me.
Very good. Thank you, Tom. I agree.
And then last but not least, Steve Carroll chimes in because you guys went out for dinner last night. I didn't. By the way, I didn't get my invite. I did get an after the fact invite. But I
told him that you were going to say that. I knew it.
Yes,
said
absolutely.
Ask on the show why he wasn't invited and why we didn't pay for you to fly over.
Well, no, Kramer's the one that's going to pay for that.
And last, Miller, you were missed at the dinner last night in New York City at Tony D's. Everybody had a great time. It was a small gathering, and we were entertained by the incredible singing waiter.
Oh. Kramer.
I'm sure Adam and Kramer can fill you in on the incredible entertainment for the evening.
So, Kramer, you didn't do a duet with the waiter? I've heard you sing, Kramer.
I'll do some karaoke or whatever, but the singer, while I'm sure he has a very nice voice, talented, like an opera voice, it was way too loud.
It was the song from they played the song from Godfather, you know, and he's singing, and I was like, why? First of all, it's so cast such aspersions on the Italian American people that this is what they think tourists want, because we went to 43rd Street and Broadway, or 6th Avenue, height of tourist season, and it was filled with people, non-New Yorkers, and this is what they're playing, and the guy was so loud that we couldn't talk. We were all like, you know, we don't see each other a lot, and we were all trying to hear each other, but he wouldn't stop. So of course, Mark Caro, Steve's brother, says to the waiter, "What's going on here? Can you tell the guy to quiet down?" And a big guy comes stomping over, and we're sure it's him. And he said, "No, it's not me." And then he gets mad at Mark, and we're like, "We got to get out of here. You know, it's going to happen again. We're going to have Mark starting a fight."
Well, listen, all I got to say is I think it was the rest of the restaurant patrons who heard you guys talking and said, "Could you send the singer over there and cover up their voices?"
Yeah, we were definitely loud. There was no question we were going for a moment there. It was fun, but it was a very funny night. We had a great time. We were missed, I guess. And I knew it. And I said that he's going to mention that we didn't invite him. So,
of course.
Hey,
are you
coming to Wappingers? Are you coming to Wappinger Fall? Are you?
I got to look into it. I want to contact the guy and see what's going on. I got to check the dates and check my class schedule and play it by ear from there. We'll figure it out.
It is a draft. We probably won't play together. Could be hard. So that's the only issue. We had a hard time getting us all together.
I did reach out, just so you know, I reached out to the Nashville guy because I do know him. It's Chili's brother, who you know. And we're going to, I'm going to see if we can get a team to go into the Nashville tournament, a Yankee team. I do believe there's a Yankee team already in the tournament. And I don't mean the Pitco team because I think he plays in a lower division. But the division that the guys from my league played in did have fantasy camp type rules. So it would be perfect for us because, you know, obviously we're not throwing out any base runners. And God knows we don't have the pitching to throw 6 games in 5 days. That I was able to throw as many innings as I threw in Monterey was kind of scary. So we'll see what happens. All right, guys.
All right. Anyway,
next show is on 26. Are you around on the 26th, Mr. Adam? So 3 Jewish guys making sure the Italians were protected. I'm sure they're very happy with us. And we will see what happens. Kramer, it is always a pleasure
great
having
to see
you
your
on.
Waddle. The whole night.
Waddle. Kramer, you got to figure out how to get your camera higher because your number of chins, your
This
number
is
of
what you look
chins,
like, Kramer.
Kramer, as Austin Powers says, there's more chins than there is in a Chinese phone book. So why don't we go from there? That was the Austin Powers quote. So those of you who are offended by that, write your letters to Mike Myers. All right.
On that note,
boys and girls,
sign off.
watch for our show on YouTube, and we will have clips again, and hopefully we can get as many as we got.